Wondering what set builder notation is? Let's explore that today. Hi, and welcome to Algebra Examples. I'm Dr. Finch. I have a PhD in mathematics and over 20 years of experience in math education. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone for sending in problems. If you want to send in a problem to see it solved, just send me an email at purplefinchmath@gmail.com. All right, so we're going to look at set builder notation. Before we do anything, let's see what that is. So we're going to go down here and remind ourselves what the different notations are. We're going to have a couple columns to help us understand. We're going to start off with a number line and then an inequality notation, which is the one that most people are familiar with. We're going to do a little bit in the set builder notation, which we get more familiar with as we do more math. And then we have the interval notation, which is a little bit more comforting, I think, for most people than the set builder notation. So in our first example here, we'll start our inequality has -1 is less than x is less than or equal to 2. So remember that little line underneath the alligator mouth, that means or equal to. When we have a less than, we are going to put an open circle on our number line. With a less than or equal to, we put a closed circle on our number line. And we're going to connect those two in pink. All those numbers are included in between. We do not include the number -1, and we include the number 2. So in our set builder notation, we're going to use a type of parentheses that you may not be as familiar with. You'll see it on your keyboard next to the P key to the right of that. I call it the squirrely brackets because they look kind of squirrely, squiggly a little bit. We start with the squirrely bracket. We say X. And then we have this line that means such that. So we're just talking about all x such that x is between -1 and +2, not including -1 and including 2. And then we end with a squirrely bracket. Now I know this looks almost exactly to the inequality notation. It just looks more complicated. Why do we do it? We're going to see in a little bit that sometimes it actually does end up being a little bit easier. We have more complicated situations in which we do want to use the set builder notation because it gives us an advantage that we don't see with the inequality notation. You may or may not see this in your algebra class. Our interval notation, the one that we're used to, has our numbers -1 and 2. Now, since we do not include -1, we have the open parenthesis or the curvy parenthesis next to the -1. Since we are including -1, or we are including 2, we have the squared bracket on the right-hand side. All right, let's look at our next example here. We have x is less than 3 is our inequality. There is no line under the alligator mouth, so we're going to make this an open circle here. But we are including all the numbers less than 3. So we're just going to color those in. And I'm just going to kind of put all those numbers in. So all of that is pink. When we get to our set builder notation, we are always going to start with a squirrely bracket and we put an X and then a line. So even if you don't know what to do, you can always start your problem that way and show your teacher that you know something about how set builder notation works. In this case, we are going to repeat our inequality. We are looking at all x less than 3. For our interval notation, we have 3 on the one side. We want numbers less than 3. And since there is no number that we see at the other side of our x, there's just the 1, we are going all the way to -infinity. So we're going to pop that in there. We are going to have a curved parentheses around 3 since we are not including the number 3. And whenever we have positive or negative infinity, you always have the curved parenthesis. You never have a closed bracket because infinity is not a number. It is a size or a magnitude. So I always use the curved parenthesis with plus or minus infinity. You'll notice in the inequality notation, I always keep my alligator mouse moving to the right. It helps me, at least, when I'm looking at the number line, how to draw it out. So here we have 0 is less than or equal to x. And again, our alligator mouth is moving to the right. So we know, first of all, we put a dot at 0. We have to put a dot that's closed in because we are including 0. Since x is on the right-hand side of 0 here, it's on the bigger side. We want all numbers bigger than 0, so we are going to color all those in. And again, if you have your alligator mouse always move to the right, you will see the x is either going to be less than your number, which means you are going to the left, or x is bigger than your number, which means you're going to the right. This only works if your alligator mouse always point to the right on their mouth open. All right, set builder notation. X, squirrely bracket, X, line, repeat our inequality. Almost always, that's all you do. Squirrely bracket closed. In this case, we are including the number 0. So in the interval notation, we will start with a square bracket, 0. And since we don't have another number, we're just keeping on going as far up as we can. We're going to positive infinity. And again, infinity is always an open bracket. Last example here, we have all real numbers. So that is going to be everything on this line. We can color the whole thing pink. Everything there. We have a fancy pants way of writing all real numbers in set builder notation. You may or may not see this very often. It's an R with a double line in there. So it's a little bit different than a capital R. It's just a little bit, has a little bit extra, and that always stands for the real numbers, all the real numbers. Mainly mathematicians use this because, well, we all got lazy of writing out all real numbers every time we meant it. So we came up with this nice little notation here. And in our interval notation, this just goes from negative infinity to positive infinity the whole way through. All right, let's go back to our question. And before we dive into that, I just want to make a note that there are more examples that you can do with inequality notation, set builder and stuff. You can, anything goes. I feel like 4 was enough for us to go through. All right, we have our information here. We want to write this in set builder notation, and we're starting with interval notation. Remember our set builder, no matter what else, we start with an X and then a line after our squirrely bracket. Notice we're going off to positive infinity, so we only want one number that we're going to work with, and we need an inequality of some sort. Now this first bracket is open, which means we only have an alligator mouth without the line underneath it. And our x should be bigger than that 7 because we want all x values big between 7 and infinity. And then we close our squirrely bracket, and there you have it. Thanks for listening.